The devil is a master of deception.
Yes.
In other words, he will implement a plan that seems good.
Oh, and that's so true. Because if you read some of these articles, it's so sugar-coated and it
Yes.
sounds so nice.
Yes.
And like we've mentioned in the previous one, if it doesn't look problemsome, look deeper. If it doesn't look problemsome, look deeper.
I'm sorry. I have to laugh because, like, think about the ludicrousy of what he's saying. If it doesn't look like it has a problem, if it doesn't seem heretical, if it doesn't seem like it's bad, look deeper. Hey YouTube, my name's Matthew Cortman, and this is Bible Scholar Reacts, a series of videos in which I, a biblical scholar, react to some of the craziest stuff you can find on the internet. For those that don't know who I am, I'm a professor of religion in Southern California. I'm also the author of the popular book Saying No to God, a radical approach to reading the Bible faithfully. Please do check it out. Now, in a previous episode on Walter Veith, we actually talked about his views on the flat earth, in which he said that he was unwilling to give an answer as to whether the world was round because he didn't want to cause controversy, unlike every other time, such as today. So this episode is again like that from one of his Q&A type sessions. It's from his series What's Up Prof. It's episode number 70, and it was uploaded on July 1st of 2021. This is a really long intro.
5 minutes later.
Welcome back to another episode of What's Up Prof. We continue with an interesting one today that really affects every person on
Yes.
the planet.
We just want to do this little series. It might sound to some like history or
Yeah.
something that doesn't directly affect us, but it does. We need to talk about these things.
Yes, and for some people that might get discouraged because we continue on this whole trend of Pope Francis the whole time. Every time you'll realize we bring in stuff that's relevant for today as well.
I love how like they actually are aware that them talking about Pope Francis all the time might wear like on people's interests because like it's stupid. But they keep doing it anyway, and they have to defend it in some sense. But like, no, they're right. Like they shouldn't. This is ridiculous.
If I can't scuba, then what's this all been about? What am I working toward?
Racing through the ages, and now it's culminating right now.
Correct.
So bear with us, but this is very important that we get through all of this.
Yeah. Just like God had a plan in the beginning for the plan of salvation, so the enemy had a plan as well. So it's very important that we understand where this comes from, because the devil is a master of deception.
Yes.
In other words, he will implement a plan that seems good,
Oh, yes, definitely.
but is the direct opposite of what God stands for. It is the negation of God under the pretext of being for God.
Yes, and that's so true. Because if you read some of these articles, it's so sugar-coated and it
Yes.
sounds so nice.
Yes.
And like we've mentioned in the previous one, if it doesn't look problemsome, look deeper.
If the Vatican looks like they're good, they're evil. Look deeper. If your neighbor suddenly seems to have actually had a conversion or change, they're lying to you. You know better. They're bad. Like this philosophy already is bankrupt from the, like just going right out the gate.
I declare bankruptcy!
If it doesn't look problematic, why are you looking deeper? What is your rationale? That means you're prejudiced. That means you have a bias to find evil. And Ellen White, one of the founders of Adventism, was actually very clear that you should not try to look for what's wrong. That's not the Christian spirit. So the fact that you feel like, and this is the problem with conspiracy theories, right, is that in general, this is how they work. It looks okay, but just look even deeper. And that desire to try to find a problem drives their followers to become people who are unable to interact with or think with anyone else outside their group. Because in a sense, the devil's around every corner for them.
Here is the religious news service from February 27, 2022. Pope Francis calls Ukrainian President Zelensky to express profound pain. The way in which they portray the Pope as this extremely concerned moral leader of the world. As Ukraine bleeds, Pope Francis and Russian Patriarch Kirill could be negotiators. Martin, if the church starts negotiating with the state and succeeds in brokering a ceasefire of any kind, is the moral position of the church then elevated in the eyes of humanity?
Definitely.
Martin, I believe the kings of the world, in order to avoid a nuclear calamity, will have to give their power unto the beast. Martin, this has been a game that has been coming a long, long time.
There is no sense and peace of Jesus. There is no common sense. There is no ability to intelligently analyze things because they've sold that idea away, and in its place now is, well, if it doesn't seem problematic, keep digging. You'll find the problem eventually. Well, yeah, I mean, that goes for everything in life. Literally everything in life. If you want to find reasons to doubt and mistrust your spouse, keep digging. You'll find reasons that can justify that. But you might also just end up living a lie, destroy your whole marriage, everything possible, right? It's a bad philosophy. You want to have a reason to think ill of your friends? Keep digging. It seems like they're good friends, but trust me, you keep digging, you can find cynical reasons for why they probably are friends with you, and you can start rehearsing that in your mind over and over again, and you'll lose your friendship, and it doesn't really matter if it was true or not. What matters is that now you're alone, and you have nothing. And that's kind of like how people like Veith and others in that kind of conspiracy mode with religion work. They burn all the bridges around them because in the end, they've burned them all down in their glorious quest to find the devil. And then they're left with nothing.
Come on, guys, get out of here. Where are the turtles? Where are they?
But before we continue any further, I just want to give a shout out and a thank you to our sponsor for this video, which is Adventist Today. So Adventist Today, I'm so happy that they believe in creators like me and want this kind of material to get out there. And I'm certainly happy that they are encouraging and promoting other voices in Adventism who otherwise would not have that kind of platform or attention. So please go ahead and check them out if you're happy that they are helping to promote material like this video.
Like you said, the chameleon doesn't change. It's a cover.
Absolutely.
And this is also such an unchristian philosophy for how to handle anything, because essentially, and I've had conversations, I've yet to like put this out in a published way, but I've had conversations where I talk about how anti-Christian this kind of outlook is, where you assume that something is a chameleon, it's never going to change, it's just a cover. So that means literally you're incapable of following Jesus's own advice about forgiveness, about how to handle relations with other groups and people. You literally have become Antichrist. This kind of a view, which Martin and Walter are proposing here, the way that they're phrasing it, right? The way in which they're phrasing it and justifying why they are doing as they are doing it is itself Antichrist, because it is literally diametrically opposed to the teachings of Jesus in the Gospels about how you are in fact supposed to honor what people are doing and saying. That does not mean that you could not theoretically question whether or not certain actions might unintentionally lead to certain things, right? But that's not the avenue they're taking. What they're taking is secret plot. Definitely, we're going to project very negative, conspiratorial, adverse implications and plans onto these figures at over here in this group and over here. And what that just demonstrates is the utter bankrupt nature of the Christianity Veith and Martin are basically proposing here. This is not how you are supposed to go around talking. Like, even if you want to chat about something the Vatican is doing and you think that it plays a role in prophecy or whatever, if you wanted to go down that rabbit hole, have that conversation. The way that they're defending it, this is the way that you wouldn't have that conversation.